Today we have with us the sporty sedan from Hyundai, none other than the Verna. The Verna needed an urgent facelift model, so Hyundai gave it one, and that too a beautiful one. So let's have a look. Now we are a new channel, so consider subscribing to join the family. And if you like this video, you know what to do.
Now before we start this review, I would specially like to thank Ultimate Hyundai, which is a Hyundai dealership here in the industrial area of Panchkula, and they have an amazing inventory of many other Hyundai cars. They have got the all new Hyundai Verna in inventory as well. So if you are interested to buy this car or any other Hyundai car for that matter, you can contact them using the links in the description below. And with that said, now let's finally start the review of the all new Hyundai Verna. We'll be giving you the list of the variants and their respective prices at the end of this video, so stick with us till the end of the video.
Now whether you like it or not, bigger grills are the new trend. And so Hyundai, following the trend, gave Verna, you guessed it, a bigger grill. Personally, I like it very much. But whether you like it or not, it's up to personal preference. Granted that it has been a controversial topic. If we talk about the headlamps of this car, we have projector headlamp setup along with surrounding DRLs. One interesting thing in this headlamps is that these also have cornering lights. And moving down below, we also have projector fog lamp setup. So in short, lighting wise, it is a pretty safe car. The new facelift of the Verna has proven that this is a sporty sedan from Hyundai. It is mainly due to the aggressive lining presence all over the car. For example, over here, over on the hood, and presence of vents all over the car. Although, only this one is the real deal. If we talk about the side profile of this car, we have 16-inch greyish colored beautiful looking alloy wheels which suits this car. As we said, it is a sporty one. We also have chrome inserts here and there. For example, the bottom part of the window sills and on the door handles. Well, it would have been nicer if they would have given the chrome insert over on the top as well. If we talk about the rear of this car, we have the similar tail lamp style from the previous version. But if we talk about the interior design, well, it has changed a lot. It is much more sportier now. And if we talk about the sportiness of this car, the rear bumper is very aggressive in this car. We have accentuating lines here and over the fake vents. And just like the front, the grille of this car was covered in dark chrome. The similar dark chrome has also been provided in the rear diffuser.
So if we talk about the performance of the sports sedan from Hyundai, that is the engine specs, well, earlier on in the previous version we used to get a 1.6 liter engine, but this time around in the petrol and the diesel variant, both time we get a 1.5 naturally aspirated engine which can produce a maximum power of 115 PS, which is approximately 115 horsepower. So that I think is pretty substantial for a family sports sedan. I don't have any kind of problems over there, but it was good to have a 1.6 liter engine. But if you are that kind of a sporty person and you want a much faster car than that, well, you also get a turbocharged petrol engine option, which is a 1 liter engine, but it's turbocharged and it can produce a maximum output of 120 PS, that is approximately once again 120 horsepower. And the good thing is that with that engine option, you also get paddle shifters for when you wanted to go out for a cruise in a spirited driving mood. Now both the petrol and the diesel engine options are available in both manual and automatic variants. This over here is the manual variant. You can also get a automatic variant, but the top model of the Hyundai Verna is only available in an automatic transmission. As long as we are on the topic of the Verna Turbo model, along with the added performance, I would also like to mention that the Verna Turbo model gets a different type of trim level which you can see on your screens right now. Now we'll start up with the features of the whole new Hyundai Verna up front regarding the headlamp array of this car, and then we'll move on inside the car and we'll talk about that. Now, so talking about the first feature, we have the headlamp array of this car. As we told you in the styling part, we have a projector headlamp setup in the SX model, that is this one. But if we buy the top end variant of the all new Hyundai Verna, we then get a completely LED headlamp setup, which is a great feature for lighting the road ahead of you. And also, as told before, we also get cornering headlamps in the top end variant of the Hyundai Verna. Also, if you look towards the grille of this car, well, in this car you do not get any kind of front sensors in this car, front parking sensors I mean. So in the top end variant you also do get the front parking sensors, which is a great safety feature for parking your car, and it makes it much easier. And now coming into the rear in this car, once again we have some few differences towards the lighting in this car in the SX variant, that is this one, and the top end variant. Well, in this car you just get normal tail lamps, but in the top end variant you get LED tail lamps, that is a complete cluster of LEDs, which helps in once again a better range of visibility for the rear cars. And then a great safety feature in this car is of the headlamps, and that is emergency stop tail lights. Now what they do is, for example, you hard press your brakes and the car comes to a sudden stop. At that time these brake lights would start flashing really fast, so the cars behind you get to know that there is some kind of problem going ahead, or if it's a foggy day, at that time the flashing light helps in a better visibility. So you do have a lot of different safety features in this car. And as we're on the topic of safety, let's just talk about the airbags in the car as well. In this SX variant you get 2 airbags in the front seats, but in the top end variant you get 6 airbags, 2 in the front seats and curtain airbags as well, which is good for the rear and for the side collisions. Alright, so now let's move on inside the car, and the first thing that you will realize when you sit inside this car is this cluster over here. What a sporty instrument cluster. This is what you think of when you think of a sporty sedan, and a sporty instrument cluster is what supports it. It seriously looks so amazing, and driving this car in such a display, it's gonna be amazing. And yes, that's right, it's a display, it's not an analog system. This right here is a display, this right here is a display, and this obviously is a display. So let's talk about this display over here, because the other two are pretty fairly normal and they, you know, do the functioning correctly of telling the speed and the RPM of the car. So over here, let's talk about this display. First off, we have the fuel economy, and yes, you can control everything through this, and we will be coming back to these functions later on. Let's just talk about this display first. So first off, we have our fuel economy, that is the kilometers per liter of this car, and that too in real time. So this is displayed over here, and then moving down over here we have the accumulated info that says that in the previous time this car drove for 6.1 kilometers and it was driven for 59 minutes, and that is why it only had just 3.5 kilometers per liter of mileage. Obviously, like we told you in the performance part of this video, obviously this car has a much more better fuel economy than this, but as the car was idling for a lot of times, you can say 59 minutes, that's why it's so less. And then last but not least, we have the drive info. Pressing this button, we get the user settings of this car. If we go back to the top over here, first off we have lights, which is a pretty standard thing like one touch indicators or headlamp delay. So coming back to the doors in this car, we have auto lock, auto unlock and smart trunk. All of these are very standard features, and we have these features in our normal cars as well. Then we get into convenience over here, which is the wipers and the lights delay, which is once again very normal. So these three are the normal things. Then we come into the service interval, which I think is a pretty good feature, and you can turn it on or off. So if I turn it on, it first tells me to adjust the interval, and if you want to reset it. So adjust interval means because you can adjust how much time or how many months or how many kilometers later you want to get a service reminder on this car. So you can adjust it to your personal preference if you want that. So I'll just go back over here completely. Yes, so we get over here back, and then we get this theme sections in this car. Right now, as you can see, we have this yellow thing over here, which in this is representing the horizon. Well, if you don't want this kind of theme, you can change it to theme B or theme A. Like if we go into theme B, it then changes into like this metallic thing over here. So you can customize it according to you, however you like it. And then going into other features over here, we have fuel economy auto reset, which I think is a really great feature. Now what it is that essentially does is that when you turn it off, you can turn it off, and then you have after vehicle on or after refueling. So right now it's turned on to after refueling, which means that whenever you refuel this car, the fuel economy in this car would automatically reset. Now we all have the habit of, you know, resetting the odometer so that we can calculate the fuel economy in the car. Well, this car can do it automatically for you, or you can also change it to after vehicle on. So if you want to, you know, have the average of whenever you turn on the vehicle in this car, you can set it to that as well. So let's just go back and we come into the fuel economy units. So if you want to change the units to liters per 100 kilometer or kilometers per liter, that's totally up to you. And then we have the temperature unit in this car, which can be changed between Celsius and Fahrenheit. Going back once again, we have the languages. So if you want to change the language of this whole display, you can do it from there. And then we, last but not the least, have reset. So reset obviously means going back to the factory defaults. So that was about this display. We'll later on talk about this display over here, but now let's talk about this steering wheel. We have a bunch of different buttons. Hyundai steering wheels literally have a lot of buttons on them. So this was just for the displays. As you can see, I was controlling earlier. And then we have the cruise control in this car. Yes, it's the SX model, and the SX model does get cruise control. So these buttons over here are for the cruise control over here. And then we have our voice assistant, which is not actually a AI based voice assistant. So that means it can only do a bunch of functions in the display. And then we have mode that is off, FM, AM, Bluetooth audio. So that all can be configured through here. And actually this button can also be configured through this display. Once again, I'm gonna come back to this display. So over here we have the volume rocker, which actually you can turn up or turn down the volume over here, and when you press it you can mute it as well. And then we have the track tuning buttons, call picking up button, and then call ending button. So this was all about the buttons and the displays. Now let's talk about the stocks in this car, and the one feature that I actually want to talk about is the automatic headlamps in this car. But unfortunately we do not get automatic wipers in this car, it's just automatic headlamps. So that I think is also a great feature. Another great feature about Hyundai cars is that they give a lot of features. So even an auto dimming mirror in this car is given in the Hyundai Verna. This is not the top model, still they're giving it. I mean, they even give this feature in the Hyundai Accent. I mean, one of my family members has a Hyundai Accent, and even in that car they're giving this button. Talking about other manufacturers, I've seen top model cars which don't give this feature, but even in this car, which is not the top model, they have given this feature, and I think that it's pretty good. And you know what, I can actually give you a demonstration on how this works. Right now there's a lot of light coming on from behind, that's why it's automatically in the auto dimming mode. But if I turn it off, you can see it gradually comes off, and now it's in its normal mode. As you can see, it doesn't have that blue extinguisher again in it. You don't need to adjust this or pull that small lever so that you don't get any kind of light in your eyes. You can directly just press this button and it will automatically dim the light so that it doesn't come directly into your eyes, and you can drive safely. Now coming on to this display over here. Now Hyundai displays, I've always loved Hyundai displays. They're really nice, comfortable to use, and they're very bright as well. So even if you have direct sunlight on them, you can easily use these displays. And I have reviewed a few Hyundai cars like the Hyundai Creta over there, and we've also reviewed the Hyundai Venue. So I have given a detailed review of this display in those videos. You can check them out in the description below. But I will be telling you a few features that I have loved in these displays. If you want a detailed review, you can check out those videos. So if I talk about this display and the things that I like is, first of all, this button. This is actually a customizable button which can be customized through this display. And similarly, when I was telling you about the mode, you can also customize this mode button through this display. Let's talk about that. So if I go into settings over here, we then have button. So over here we first have the custom button. As you can see, we have a star over here, and we have custom button star written over here. So you can configure what this button will do, and so right now it does nothing. But if I press home, now whenever I will press this button, it will take me to home, as you can see. And then similarly, when I go back into button over here, I can change it to something else like display on or off. So if I press this, the display goes off, and if I press it again, the display comes on. So this is a configurable button, and I think it's an amazing feature. I don't know why other manufacturers are not coming up with this feature as soon as possible, because I love it. But anyways, this is one feature that you get in Hyundai cars, and I like it. So if we go into the steering wheel mode button over here, now if we talk about this over here, so we have FM, AM, Bluetooth audio, USB music, and phone projection. Now in layman's term, a lot of people don't use AM, and a lot of people don't use phone projection. So if you only want to toggle between FM, Bluetooth audio, USB music, and that's it. So as you have ticked these, now whenever you will press this button, it's only going to toggle between these three functions. It's not going to bring up AM or phone projection ever. So this, I think, is an amazing feature, and this is the attention to detail that Hyundai gives in their cars. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a big problem like pressing the button twice instead of one time, but still having this feature, the thought that Hyundai has put into it, that's what makes it appreciable, and I really love that. Now, last but not the least, the few things that I like in this display is of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So that gives you the functionality to completely use your phone on this display. It doesn't matter if you have an iPhone or an Android phone. So Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is also a great feature. Now, although I have told you to look at our other Hyundai videos for the detailed review of the infotainment display, now once you watch those videos, you'll get to know that these displays have a feature called Blue Link, and Blue Link is a great feature from Hyundai, which Hyundai is now rolling out to each and every new car that they get on. But somehow I didn't talk about Blue Link in this car. Well, that is because the SX variant, this one, does not get Blue Link. The Blue Link option is only available in the top end variant, and a plethora of features, like literally a lot of features, are available via Blue Link. Exactly what it does, I'll tell you in your displays right now. Please feel free to pause the video whenever you like. The new Hyundai Verna even gives an automatic sunroof in the SX variant, let alone the top model.
We're gonna start the practicality of the glove box in this car. As you can see, it is quite large glove box, and for organization we have one card holder, and the good thing about that, it is cooled as well. Moving to the center console, above the gear lever, we have a Qualcomm 3.0 fast charge wireless charging pad with a 12V charging socket, a USB port for connecting your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and another USB port for charging your phones as well. Beside the handbrake in this car, we have two cup holders for the front seats passengers. But the catch here is, this one is a smaller cup holder than this one, as this one can also be used for keeping your bottles as well. Behind the cup holders, we have an armrest which also doubles as center console storage. If we look into the storage, it is very deep storage cubby. We also have decent sized door bins in this car, and also a place for keeping your glasses or bottles. Oh wait, thank you Hyundai, you are not allowed to keep your glasses in this holder. If we talk about practicality in the rear seats, we obviously do have seat pockets, but only for the passenger side seat. Not so obvious, is it? On the ceiling of this car, you also have a sunglass holder. In the rear seat armrest, you also have two cup holders for the rear seat passengers. Now for the most important part of a practicality session is the trunk. First we're going to talk about opening this trunk. There are three ways to open this trunk. The first is on the key fob, second is on the rear side footwear area, and third is the request sensor given below the trunk. Now the trunk of this car opened automatically. No, this car doesn't have the electronic tailgate, but this car does have spring actuators which help in opening the trunk automatically. But anyways, like any other sedan, this car has a pretty great trunk. There is nothing much more interesting back here.
Alright, so now let's talk about comfort in the all-new Hyundai Verna, because not only is this a sporty sedan, it's also meant to be a family car, and so I think comfort is going to be a major factor for a lot of people. So let's talk about comfort in this car. I'm sitting in the front seat obviously, and I can move this front seat back and forth, and the rear and the backrest back and forth, so that is pretty obvious because this is the front seat. And the seats are very soft, you know, I mean, you get fabric seats in the SX model and they are very soft, they're very comfortable, they grip me well, so that's a good for a sporty feature. And obviously going on a long road trip in this car is not going to be any kind of a problem. I can easily sit inside this car for 5-6 long hours in the driver or in the passenger seat without any problem, because obviously I can move the seat however I want. And one thing about the top model of this car, not this one, the top model, is that you also get ventilated seats in that car. I mean, this is the first time that in this segment you've got ventilated seats at this price point. So if you get the top model of the all new Hyundai Verna, you can enjoy ventilated seats in your car. Alright, so coming into the rear seats of this car, you just saw I was sitting in the front seat and I'm pretty tall, 6'1", and still if I come into the rear seats of this car, you can see I have about 4.5 inches of legroom available to me, so that is pretty good. If I talk about the headroom, well, I have about 1.5 inch of headroom available to me, so I guess the car is pretty spacious and there's not going to be any kind of problem over there. Talking about the under thigh support, I'm 6'1", so I do think it's a little bit less for tall people, but then if you're any height smaller than me, I guess it's going to be better for you. Talking about the comfort, it's obviously same as the front seats because you have the same material in the rear seats as well. They're quite soft and very grippy even in the rear seats, so that I think is really good. But if I talk about the seat positioning in this car, talking about the seat angle that I'm sitting right now, it's that angle that if I had recliner seats in this car, I would literally sit in. So seriously, this is going to be really comfortable for any kind of person, being it a child or a grown adult, for a long road trip, you know, even 5-6 hours going inside this car. It's going to be no problem sitting in this seat. Now let's move into the middle seat of this car, because this is majorly where people do feel a little bit of problems. Now over on this side I don't have that much of legroom because I haven't adjusted this seat. This seat is all the way back as it could, so once this seat is also adjusted according to the front passenger, I think it's going to be a lot better. But if I talk about the seating arrangement over here, well, the seat over here, it's not that comfortable that we had over here. It's not as comfortable, but it is comfortable. So literally going in a long road trip, even in this seat, it's not going to be a big problem. And one thing that I love in this car in the middle seat is that the transmission tunnel in this car, you know, the bump that is there in the middle seat, it's almost negligible. It's really small. I think the lowest in the segment of this price point, I think. So it's really good back over here, and I also have the rear AC climate control. So yes, I'm not gonna feel hot or cold in the rear seats of this car as well. And as told you in the start, we will be telling you all the prices and the variants on your screens right now. Please feel free to pause the video whenever you like. And so this was our review of this car. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Comment down below what you liked about our video, or if you want us to improve on anything else. Share this video as much as you can, and a subscribe would also be appreciated. Thank you.